What is up, guys? It's Verns back here again with another Supercoach video. This time it is the round 23 review. Look, overall, it's not a bad round overall rank. We went down 35 places to 391 after putting out a 2,500 on the dot. Unfortunately, as we can see, our league wins, we did drop 3 of those leagues. So that was a bit unfortunate. Honestly, I'll talk about it a little bit later when we look at the leagues. But we'll jump in, see how the team went. Not too much to go over. I know it's a bit of a later video again this week. What I did want to bring up is how good has football actually been, though? Like, the last, I can't say how many weeks, it's been super entertaining. Like, I know we've had a bit of drama with the 2 back-to-back Adelaide games that went down. Well, one of them went to a score review and the other one obviously should have. But it's just been entertaining in general. Like, it's just been good footy. There has been a lot of competitive teams fighting for finals, for the last few weeks, and now it is finally down to just Dogs or Giants in who gets that 8th spot. So it's down to 2 as to who can get that final spot. But it was just entertaining football in general. It was like a lot of close games, a lot of crazy things. Like, how nuts was it the West Coast got up over Dogs in the first place? That was crazy. Essendon get belted by over 100 points. Like, I don't know how, but Essendon always find a way each season to come out and just get absolutely slaughtered by someone. They just, I don't know how they do it, but they always find a way. But no, it's just been good footy, entertaining few weeks. Obviously, Geelong not making the finals. It could have been Geelong and Sydney not making the finals, but yeah, once again, we won't go too into depth on that because at the end of the day, like, I'm sure people have already looked at it so much. It is very unfortunate though, and I will go over it a little bit later on. But we'll jump into the team, see how it went. Once again, Sheasel pumped out a great score for us, so that's absolutely awesome. Day with a good score. Sicily sort of didn't quite get there, unfortunately, and he was a unique in a few of my games. Stewart, Dawson, and Sinclair all with good scores. So, like, 5 out of my back 6 just absolutely went nuts this week, which was awesome. And just really, really good weeks from them. Jumping into the midfield, this was where it was a bit more up and down. We obviously had the captaincy on Bont because the 116 just wasn't really good enough. And for my league games, if I did take that 116, I was basically forfeiting a bunch of them. So I just had to roll the dice with Bont there. Comes out with a massive game and get absolutely rewarded for it. Track, unfortunately, with the 106. So it's a little bit down, but we know he's been playing more forward, so it's kind of expected. But at the same time, he's been solid enough as a pick for us that we can't falter these, these more lower scores. But at the same time, a 106 would be very happy with a lot of players, so nothing really wrong there. Merritt with the 99, Laird with the 116, Brayshaw 111, Sarong 94. Like, these are all moderate. Laird's score is good enough. Brayshaw score, good enough. The Merritt, Sarong, Neil, would be nice if they at least hit the tongue, but I guess we passed those sort of scores. I mean, they are in the 90s and they're just a few points off. Keys, now that hurts so much, and this is the only reason I'm going to talk about this game. As much as it means that Adelaide missed the finals and all the Adelaide supporters are going to be super mad, and honestly, it's fair enough. It was 100% a goal. The guy gets fired. Fair enough. But I don't really care that Adelaide didn't make the finals. That doesn't really bother me, sort of thing. What I do care about is that Keys is in my team, and that could have been a plus 30. Like, 40 seconds, game-winning goal. That could have very well been a plus 30 right there, which is super frustrating. Because as we'll see later on in my Verns YouTube League number 2, I do lose it by about 26. So that Keys goal, if they counted it, could have been great for Adelaide, but it could have been the difference maker in my final. Congratulations to Brad Close or Far. They did end up getting up on me on that game, so congratulations there and best of luck in the finals. But yeah, I did to question how many points was that goal really worth, because it might have saved me the 30 spots that I dropped this week, and yeah, it might have gone me another league win, which would have been very nice. Obviously, Keys being a big pod for us, it is actually like super important for him to have good games, and to go 36 was unbelievably painful. Like, this was a unique in every single one of my matchups, and it did cost me, honestly, in a lot of them. And even, 70 more points on him gets a 106. Even we say 50 more points gets a 86. As I said, add 26 more points, he's only getting like a 62, but all of a sudden I win another round, and it's just so disappointing to see a 36 out of him. And then the annoying thing was, as I said, I was going to watch this game. That was my Saturday night game that I wanted to watch. I did watch this game, and all I can really say is how disappointing it was to just... It's not that you weren't seeing Keys. Keys was around the ball actually all the time. He just simply could not grab it. He just kept fumbling it. He wasn't able to pick it up. He couldn't pick up ground balls. There was one time where he did like I think twice this happened where he did like AFL relevant moves that were very important to Adelaide. One of them where the ball was in front of him and he just couldn't pick it up. He just couldn't handle it. And he ends up, instead of being able to grab the ball, he ends up just smacking it forward onto Rankin running past, who then runs past, and I'm pretty sure they end up getting like transition and a goal off it. And it's one of those things where it's like him hitting that was 0 Supercoach points. Like, that was so good for like Adelaide and for the team, and obviously the coaches look at that and they're just like, great work, like beautiful hit. But to Supercoach, that was 0. That was nothing. That was irrelevant. Like, if he could have just got his hands physically on that ball and made a hand pass, boom. And like, the problem was, it wasn't even like under pressure. It's not like he had someone on him constantly and he just couldn't grab the ball with all this pressure. He got into open space multiple times and he could not clunk the ball. He could not mark it. He could not pick it up. He just could not grab it. And it was very frustrating. There is times when he should have been able to kick goals. There was times when he should have been able to assist in goals. He should have had so many more possessions. And when I say this, I'm not even lowballing here, but I'd say about 7 at least. Like, he just physically could not do it. And that's what the 36 is, that he was around the ball. He just could not get a physical possession. And as I said, he made plays that were relevant to the game, but were worth 0 Supercoach points. And it was just so annoying that him kicking that goal at the end was a saving grace. It's all we relied. Like, he got a 36 at the end of the day. If he at least pushes to a 60, it's not good, but it ain't a 30. And so that goal at the end, like when he kicked it, I was up just like the Adelaide supporters would have been. I was up like the Adelaide players were. I mean, we all see Rankin standing in front of the goal in the replay. They all go running over the keys. Like, I'm hype as hell. I'm just like, let's go. And then you see the umpire call a point. I'm like, oh, there's no way. He's going to have to score review this. But it obviously doesn't happen. And it's so frustrating for us Keys owners. And obviously the Adelaide supporters. But... yeah, look, it's super tough there. As I said, not going to drag on too long with that, even though I kind of did. Very frustrating, but it's what happened, eh? It's what happened. Now, this week could have been a really big week for us because Marshall and Briggs both came out with massive games, like huge ruck combo games. They got big points in Gorn. They got points in English. These were big points for them. So like this was really big for me in my week. And for all this that I was saying, make English your captain this week. Really unfortunate because, I mean, who even thought the Dogs were going to lose? Like, that was just unbelievable. And Bonds ends up being the play. And as I said, I kind of get bailed out there, which is pretty crazy. Butters with a 129. So another week of just basically 130. Like, Butters over Dunkley, it's actually worked out for me. I can't believe it's worked out for me. That's nuts. The thing that hasn't actually worked out is, I think, Sarong to Green. Sorry, Green from Sarong. Because I didn't actually move him the first week of his injury. The first week of his injury because I had to make other trades that week. So I ended up moving Green for only 2 weeks that he was injured instead of 3 of them. So I got Sarong for 2 extra weeks, but over the rookies that were playing, I'm pretty sure that's like the week Fletcher put out like an 80 and then Sarong ended up with like a 90 something and it was like 15 points extra, and it's like, man, that doesn't... 15 points extra from the rookie I could have fielded if I kept Green, and then the week after that wasn't that great either. Maybe it was like 60 points extra for the 2 weeks. Obviously, Green has come back-to-back with 2 pretty good games. I think overall it's still a net positive on points, but it is just a bit painful that Sarong is just not putting out these games right now. And once again, in finals, like Supercoach finals, when it would have been very relevant for me. So, very unfortunate. As we do see, obviously, Fletcher had the E on him for the 30 points. Obviously, I wasn't taking 30, so I rolled the dice with Marek. And, West Coast won, so we made 29 points there as well. So, once again, at least that is a small positive there. Goulden gets the 109. Rosie has a down game with a 75. Obviously, a down game because he got tagged, so nothing you can do about that. Toronto 96, and then this is the other super painful play. Jack McRae. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Lib is out. You would think McRae comes into more midfield time and ends up being good, but it's just not the case. And I think a similar thing to Keys. He was around the ball, but he just couldn't get his hands on it, or they just did the pass over his head, or they just couldn't hit him as a target. Like, that's the most frustrating thing when you see someone gonna pass it to your Supercoach player and they butcher the pass. Like, that did happen to Keys a few times as well. It's just they butcher the pass. Keys' excuse, obviously, a wet weather game. McRae, this is super disappointing. I understand that he didn't take the Liberatore spot, which I really hoped he did. Bailey Smith got in there for a lot of the time. I'm sure Daniel probably got in there too. I didn't watch this game. I actually went up on Saturday to Bendigo to see my grandparents, and we would have been driving at the time of the game. I personally didn't really care because I thought Dogs were going to win this game, but when I get back from Bendigo and all of a sudden there's 5 minutes on the clock and they were down, I watched the last 5 minutes, which obviously they almost got it there. But, that's just, it's crazy. But so 49 from McRae, once again, a unique for me in I think every one of my matchups but one. And he's a huge unique for me in the top 1,000 players. Same with Keys. These are two massive uniques for me and they went awful. And that's why you could say that you're surprised I didn't have more damage done. Only went down 35 places, but as I said, my other uniques I've actually gone quite well. Butters as a unique went really well. Briggs as a unique went really well. Sheasel isn't really a unique. He's owned by 40% of the comp. He obviously went really well. Day is owned pretty highly, but once again went really well. And I can't be too unhappy because a lot of my players did do very well that managed to make up for these poor performances from Keys and McRae. But this was always the risk of coming in with Dacos out of the side. I had to roll the dice with all three of them on the field, Day, Sheasel, Keys. If this was the case, I'm sure I would have been able to probably loop them last week. I definitely would have been able to loop Keys and Sheasel. So could have definitely done that and then hopefully dodge the Keys score because Sheasel just went so big, 100 points more than him, that we just end up running with Keys on the bench. So super unlucky and disappointing there, but that was the risk we took with Dacos. Now let's try and wrap this up. We're going to quickly talk about our captains for next week, and then we'll have a quick look at the leagues. So we're going to obviously get Libba on field here. Keys is going to get on field as well. I think we probably... can we even work this loop? No, we can't work this loop because Davey plays early, so I can't even move Davey and Keys around to loop with Fletcher if I wanted. So unfortunately, I can't even loop. That wouldn't work looping with Fletcher. Can I loop? Oh no, Keys and Marek play in the same game, obviously, so I can't loop anyone here. This is a little bit disappointing. Only positive is Keys plays heavy forward, and as we know, Adelaide pumped them by 140 last time, so hopefully if they do the same thing, feed Tex, Keys can get involved because the ball will live in his forward line, maybe kick a few snags himself and actually get a respectable score this week. That would be great. McRae, if you could also just get a respectable score, because this is so disappointing. Captains for the week, as you guys would have seen at the start of the video, if you were paying attention, I had to reverse because I had already taken a quick look at this. I don't like anyone really in the Collingwood-Essendon game. You could take the risk with Merritt because, as I said, Collingwood has been bleeding a few points to midfielders, even though we weren't earlier in the season. We have been as of recent. So definitely could be a game to look at targeting there. Saying that, I think Pies are a lot more out to win than Essendon, secure that minor final. Where Essendon, it doesn't really matter anymore. But at the same time, a bit of redemption for last week because they just got absolutely flogged by GWS it was just unbelievable. So maybe a little bit of redemption there. But I'm actually going to put the VC on Sicily. So Sicily, Hawks, Freo. Look, Hawks don't really give up points in the midfield, so I don't really want to be putting this on Bracer or Strong. Did they play earlier in the season? If they did, they did play on round 8. 105 by Strong isn't very good. Not good enough for a captaincy score, sorry, specifically, and apparently Brayshaw went nuts on them, so I'd expect Brayshaw to probably take some attention this time around. Last time would have been at Optus, this time they're at the MCG, but yeah, not something I'm going to look at. I think I will go with Sicily, how did he go last time they played? I feel like a good score came out of him. Frio, oh my god, he got a 63. I mean, that was a very different time, he was playing more accountable. Oh, God, seeing that 63 actually scares me off, Sicily. I hadn't looked at that previously. That's pretty nuts. North versus Gold Coast. As I mentioned, people looking at Sheasel, I said I liked Sheasel over Merritt last week. Obviously, you would have got a pretty decent score there, but it would have baited you off Bontempelli, which is a bit unfortunate. Speaking of which, one of the leagues, I'm pretty sure I lost. It might have been against Bread Close and Far. I do want to check it out. I'll check out the actual game day matchup there, but I'm pretty sure he had the VC on Marshall for the 141, and then he still rolled the dice with Bontempelli's 162, which is nuts. Obviously, that's 21 points there, so if it was Bread Close or Far, I think technically he still would have been me anyway. But what a mad lad. Whoever did this was that's crazy. I mean, look, they might not be playing for the league that I was playing in them against. Obviously, you're playing leagues against multiple opponents, and maybe they were in this position where it's like they had no more uniques left. So it's either accept that they've lost that matchup or roll the dice with Bont and see how they go, and maybe it nets them a win. So I do have to think of that perspective of theirs as to why they might have done that. But yes, I'm sorry. So I'm going to look at when we get to the leagues in a minute. North Gold Coast, I guess maybe you could look at Sheasel here because he's been pretty good form since Clarko's been back, running him in a much more ideal Supercoach position. Brisbane, St Kilda. I mean, Dunkley's always a shout because he's good, obviously, but I don't know, their form hasn't been great from Neil. Not really a fan of anyone in this game. Sinclair's obviously been in some good form recently. Marshall could be a shout, actually, because we did have... Was it Gorn who put the 200 down on... against Brisbane? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they've given up some big points in the ruck because the Big O hasn't been in form. Maybe this is the better shout. Maybe shouting Rowan Marshall in this week. Well, why not? I think that seems pretty crazy, but I love it. GMHBA Geelong versus Dogs, obviously a big game because if Dogs don't win, then GWS make it full stop. So very important game for them. But it is at GMHBA. I think Bont's really good here, just in the sense that Geelong don't have super crazy midfielders, and they have linked points to midfielders in the previously in the season, so I do think Bont could be another shout here. Obviously, if you have English, I think English is just the go-to. It's hard to look past English, and even with the worst case scenario with English, he gets like a 110 minimum, but Geelong once again bleed points in the ruck because they don't really have a ruck. I guess they have Stanley, but I don't know, they don't have a strong ruck line when it comes to Supercoach relevance, so I would definitely be looking at English personally, but since I don't have English, we're going to look at Bont. Hopefully, I believe Liverpool should be back. There's no reason Liverpool won't be back, and let's be honest here, it's a super important game, so he's definitely going to be back. Adelaide West Coast, I guess this is the only other consideration for those that brought in Tex to try and win their Supercoach finals. This is a massive game. I mean, if you're going to punt with Tex, you have to put a VC on him. There's no way you straight see him, but I do think you could get away with a Butters C, or if you have an Oliver or Petrarca C. I mean, they're not as reliable on the Cs, but if you want to take a big punt on like a Tex, that would be nuts. And then I guess Laird and Dawson I think will be quite reliable Cs in that game as well. I personally am preferring a Bont or English over them, but obviously each to their own. And they are against West Coast, so I mean, yeah, Laird definitely went nuts on them last time. I think got a 150, so I would prefer Laird over Dawson. I think Laird's a bit of a better downhill skier personally. So once again, I'd preferably the Dogs, then Laird, then Dawson. And if you wanted to run a cheeky VC with Tex, I absolutely bloody love that. And I completely endorse doing that to, maybe get some upsets in your finals, or just maybe just win the very last week of Supercoach, because why the hell not? Just get a round win. As I mentioned, I love Butters here over Rosie. Toronto is not relevant anymore. Sydney into Melbourne. Melbourne have given up points in the midfield, so Goulden could be potentially a shout, but I don't like him as a C. He's only really a VC option in my eyes. Gawn could definitely be a shout if Grundy is not named. I think Gawn's definitely a shout there as a great C backup. And then if Grundy is playing, you can look at Track or Oliver. As I said, in my opinion, a bit less reliable than the Dogs or Adelaide boys. But if you're going to run with Tex, then yeah, I think Gawn or Petrarca Oliver are not bad C backups if need be. And then I would ignore the Carlton at GWS game. So yeah, just my thoughts on captains. Probably talked a little bit too long about that, but for those that are interested, that's my thoughts on it. Obviously, if you play towards the back end of the week as well, it gives you a bit of it gives you a bit of a advantage in playing for the finals, because if somebody tries to see VC early on merit, doesn't work out, ends up seeing Bont, you could just VC Bont, see how their merit goes, either match their Bont if you're winning the head-to-head, or if you're losing, then maybe take a more risky punt down the line if you've got these other plays that I suggested. So yeah, definitely something you can do looking into these Supercoach finals. As I said, I play for overall, so I'm just going to go for the most points possible. Unless, as I said, I get in that exact same situation where taking Rowan's VC means that I lose, so I just have to roll with Bont. Saying that, will only be 4 games in at that time, so good chance I won't know that at the time, but maybe I will, depends on how many players play. So we'll quickly just jump into the game day matchup here. So as we can see, I ended up getting up on Goonzilla in our YouTube League 1, so bad luck. Good run from you, though, 6th place at the end of the season, and managed to get through to the semis. And then the Brad Close or Far, where I go down by 26 points. No, he put the VC on Neil, and then ended up matching me with Bont, which, yeah, worked out pretty well for him, so well done there. I want to see who the mad lad was that... Was it Goonzilla? I don't think so. Now, he hit on Sheasel, which once again, I also think that was pretty mad lad to not take Sheasel's 136. English ends up with a 118, so he did lose 18 points there. Means he doesn't win, but if he did go with Bont and tried to match me because he was maybe winning the league I don't think he was winning the league at that stage, but hindsight's 2020. You probably don't expect McRae's 49. But you probably, roll the dice with English to try and win this matchup. That makes sense. So he's losing the head-to-head. If he matches my Bont, then he loses the head-to-head. So he tries to go with English and hope for the outscore, which I think was the more appropriate captain choice, and it just didn't work out. So very unlucky there from Goonzilla. And we will jump on down to, I think, Airwolba might have done it. Maybe he's the mad... Yeah, Airwolba, absolute fucking mad lad here. Sorry for the language. So in this matchup, technically there's only 3 uniques, just because clearly I have Laird and he has Marshall. But we still both technically have Laird and Marshall. Sorry, 5 uniques? Yeah, 5 uniques. No, 4. It was 4. Sorry. So the uniques are Keys, McRae, Petrarca, Sicily versus Dunkley, Doherty, Parrish, and Jackson. And I got to be honest, I felt so confident in winning this league when I saw Dunkley's 99, Doherty's 64, Parrish's 91, and I hadn't had any of my uniques play at that stage. And I'm like, yo, that's so beatable. Keys comes out with a 36, and I'm like, you know what? That's not too bad in the sense that he got close to the 64. So since he got close to the 64, I really just need to beat these 90s at the stage. And then McRae gets the 49, and I am crying. And then Petrarca, and yeah, it was very underwhelming from my uniques in this matchup, which was very frustrating personally. I can't believe they went ahead and did that. So a very close one there, but absolute mad lad. Just wanted to point out that he was a mad lad and, yeah, rolled the dice with Bont. As I said, probably not playing for our game because he was clearly ahead in our game. He was probably playing for another league and he needed to roll the dice with Bont because taking Marshall meant that he lost. So we will just quickly view the leagues here. So as I mentioned, Goonzilla unfortunately drops. Then we have JMM Stars going down, and we have me and Hotshots playing in the finals here. So first and second from the actual head-to-head end up playing in the finals. I'd be very happy with that if that's how the real AFL ladder turns out. Yeah, it might be a bit of a hard one here. He put out a massive score last week. His team probably is going to look quite good. And I have to run Keys and McRae on field, who have been absolutely dreadful. So need a little bit of luck on my side this time, I feel, to get a win. Like I mentioned, I was exposed this week coming into it because I was running a rookie, plus I had like Keys on field, which was just super unfortunate. So yeah, unfortunately lost 3 games this week, so all of them week 3 final drops, which is unfortunate. But yeah, we will play in the final this week for the first YouTube league, so at least we made it there for one of them. The second YouTube league, as we can see, I unfortunately dropped the game here. Fishing Crips end up losing to the Duke, and the Duke will play in the final against Brad Close and Orfar. So 5th versus 1st should be fun. Yeah, just there's a second one. I have buys here because once again this was like top 5 made finals, and then I won the second week and went straight to the grand final. So I'll be playing actually the same person in both of these leagues. She beat her husband in both the leagues to play me, so good fun. And then finally, we're just going to quickly look at the Shorty Supercoach League, so we can see that we had City Superstars actually managed to get all the way through to the final round against me. Either one of these players would have obviously beaten me from this top matchup, but yeah, so 6th versus 2nd should be fun. And yeah, I mean, these other leagues I don't think we really care too much about, but I will just quickly show them. So Fantasy Take League, we have 3rd versus 6th. Uniac on Crack was our total points leader, that just managed to scrape in. So Zingerbox versus Air Woolber, so good luck to them. And then this is the public league that I actually crushed all season long and just ended up losing in finals. So, yeah, me and second both went our first week to get through and then end up losing here. So you're probably all tuned out by now. But I guess that was my league games overall, just to see how those are going. And for those that are involved, thank you for participating in the leagues. I do appreciate everyone for sort of jumping in and just filling up the leagues. And I hope you all had fun this season. For those that are playing in the finals, good luck to all of you, especially the final that is against me. I don't think you really need luck, though, looking at how much my team has fallen apart a little bit. But, I mean, we did have a good week 2 weeks ago, so we definitely could. We just need these underperforming uniques to, I guess, step up. And I will just quickly jump, I guess, into the matchup between me and Hot Shots to see what we will be looking at for the head-to-head. So very similar teams overall. Only 4 uniques here because we both obviously have Bont and Pelly there. Brayshaw versus Cameron, McRae versus Ryan, Steele, Keys, Petrarca, Dunkley. I got to be honest, I don't have faith in this right now. If I don't get extra points off my captain, like I don't know if I win this matchup. I think Cameron will have a pretty good week this week. Ryan, maybe he'll be okay. Steele, he could be okay as well. And Dunkley probably a pretty good one. I don't know. I guess because of McRae and Keys' week this week, there's such letdowns for me. I do think that Petrarca is probably going to be the highest scorer out of all of these players that are unique. Brayshaw can probably put in a pretty good game too. But in this case, it's just, I don't know, McRae and Keys are just really sub-premiums, where he has 4 proper premiums. So probably going to lose that one, but maybe a little bit of luck rolls our way and we can end up with a W. So good luck to you, Hot Shots, and we'll see how we go. But yeah, as I said, I've rambled on way too much as normal. As I said, I appreciate those that stay to the end of the video always. Those that watch the video, I always appreciate that. So for those that have also subscribed, thank you as well. I always appreciate that too. But yeah, I'll let you all go and enjoy the rest of your night and stop rambling on. So thanks again. Good luck in all your finals, and we will catch you for the end of season review. Peace. Later.